Poetry by Mina Loy. Colophon poetry was compiled from poetry published between 1914 and 1924 by Mina Loy. This ebook was produced for Standard eBooks by Robin Whittleton and is based on transcriptions from various sources and on digital scans from various sources. The cover page is adapted from La Danseuse Obsedante, a painting completed in 1911 by Gino Severini. The cover and title pages feature the League Spartan and Sots Mill Gaudi typefaces created in 2014 and 2009 by the League of Movable Type. This edition was released on January 20, 2026, 5:15 a.m., and is based on revision 114/42. The first edition of this ebook was released on February 29, 2024, 8:07 p.m. You can check for updates to this ebook, view its revision history, or download it for different e-reading systems at standardbooksorg/ebooks/minaloy/poetry. The volunteer-driven Standard eBooks project relies on readers like you to submit typos, corrections, and other improvements. Anyone can contribute at standardbooksorg. In notes marriage portions, write, imprint this ebook is the product of many hours of hard work by volunteers for Standard eBooks, and builds on the hard work of other literature lovers made possible by the public domain. This particular ebook is based on transcriptions from various sources and on digital scans from various sources. The source text and artwork in this ebook are believed to be in the United States public domain. That is, they are believed to be free of copyright restrictions in the United States. They may still be copyrighted in other countries, so users located outside of the United States must check their local laws before using this ebook. The creators of, and contributors to, this ebook dedicate their contributions to the worldwide public domain via the terms in the CC 01.0 Universal Public Domain dedication. For full license information, see the uncopyright at the end of this ebook. Standard eBooks is a volunteer-driven project that produces ebook editions of public domain literature using modern typography, technology, and editorial standards, and distributes them free of cost. You can download this and other ebooks carefully produced for true book lovers at standardbooksorg. There is no life or death, there is no life or death, only activity, and in the absolute is no declivity. There is no love or lust, only propensity, who would possess is a nonentity. There is no first or last, only equality, and who would rule joins the majority. There is no space or time, only intensity, and tame things have no immensity. Parturition, I am the center of a circle of pain, exceeding its boundaries, in every direction. The business of the bland sun has no affair with me, in my congested cosmos of agony, from which there is no escape on infinitely prolonged nerve vibrations, or in contraction to the pinpoint nucleus of being locate and irritation. Without it is within, within it is without. The sensitized area is identical with the extensity of intention. I am the false quantity in the harmony of physiological potentiality, to which gaining self-control I should be consonant in time. Pain is no stronger than the resisting false pain calls up in me. The struggle is equal, the open window is full of a voice. A fashionable portrait painter, running upstairs to a woman's apartment, sings, all the girls are tiddly-diddly, all the girls are nice, whether they wear their hair in curls, or at. The irresponsibility of the male leaves woman her superior inferiority. He is running upstairs, I am climbing a distorted mountain of agony. Incidentally, with the exhaustion of control, I reach the summit and gradually subside into anticipation of repose, which never comes. For another mountain is growing up, which, goaded by the unavoidable, I must traversing myself, something in the delirium of night hours confuses, while intensifying sensibility, blurring spatial contours, so aiding illusion of the circumscribed, that the gurgling of a crucified wild beast comes from so far away, and the foam on the stretched muscles of a mouth is no part of myself. There is a climax in sensibility when pain surpassing itself becomes exotic, and the ego succeeds. A moment being realization, convitalized by cosmic initiation, furnish an adequate apology for the objective agglomeration of activities of a life, a leap with nature into the essence of unpredicted maternity against my thigh touch of infinitesimal motion, scarcely perceptible undulation, warmth, moisture, stir of incipient life precipitating into me, the contents of the universe mother. I am identical with infinite maternity, indivisible, acutely, I am absorbed into the pause something viscous, malefic, unfamiliar. While listening up, I hear my husband mumbling at the window, malediction, incantation, under an hour her hand to her side, pressing, suffering, being bewitched, Cicera, fading daily, feeble, soft to the doctor. Thisses the wise woman says to take her, so we following her instruction, I and the neighbor take her, the glass rattling the rain, slipping I and the neighbor and her aunt bunched together, and Cicera droops across the cab fee. 3 moments in Paris, 1 o'clock at night, though you had never possessed me, I had belonged to you since the beginning of time, and sleepily, I sat on your chair, beside you leaning against your shoulder, and your careless arm across my back gesticulated, as your indisputable male voice roared through my brain, and my body arguing dynamic decomposition, of which I was understanding nothing sleepily, and the only less male voice of your brother pugilist of the intellect boomed, as it seemed. The Café du Néant, little tapers, lighted, leaning diagonally, stuck in coffin tables of the Café du Néant, leaning to the breath of baited bodies, like young poplars, fringing the war eyes, that are full of love, and eyes that are full of coal, projecting light across the fulsome ambient, trailing the rest of the animal behind them, telling of tales without words, and lies of no consequence one way or another. The young lovers hermetically buttoned up in black to black cravat, to the blue powder edge. The magazines du Louvre, all the virgin eyes in the world, are made of glass, long lines of boxes of dolls, propped against banisters, walls, and pillars, huddled on shelves, and composite babies, with arms extended, hang from the ceiling, beckoning, smiling, in a profound silence which the shop-walker left trailing behind him when he ambled to the further end of the gallery, to annoy the shop-girl. All the virgin eyes in the world are made of glass, they alone have the effrontery to stare through the human soul. See the sketch of a man on a platform, man of absolute physical equilibrium. You stand so straight on your legs, every plank or clod you plant your feet on becomes roots for those limbs among the men you accrete to yourself. You are more heavy and more light, force being most equitably disposed, is easiest to lift from the ground, so at the same time, your movements unassailable savor of the airy-fairy of the ballet, the essence of a Mademoiselle Genet, winks in the to and fro of your cufflinks, your virgins plus curtains minus dots. Latin bogies, houses hold virgins, the doors on the chain, plum streets with hots, bar curtains with eyes, virgins without dots. One stare, beyond probability. See the men pass, their hats are not ours. We take a walk, they are going somewhere. And they may look everywhere. Men's eyes look into things, our eyes look out a great deal of ourselves. We offer to the mirror something less, to the confessional the rest, to time. There is so much time, everything is full of flutter, and then the man. Wasting our giggles, for we have no dots, we have been taught love is a god white with soft wings. Nobody shouts virgins for sale, yet where are our coins for buying a purchase? A love is a god marriage, expensive, a secret well kept, makes the noise of the world. Nature's arms spread wide, making room for us, room for all of us. Somebody who was never a virgin has bolted the door, put curtains at our windows. See the men pass, they are going somewhere. Fleshes like we. Piazzas or squares, the Pitti Palace, enormous, and Paskowskis, for beer all are in fians. Is Florence? Some think it is a woman with flowers in her hair. But no, it is a city with stones on the streets. Giovanni Bappini often said, everybody in Fians knows me, and everybody did, excepting that she didn't. She never knew what he was, or how he was himself. Yet she uniquely was the one to speculate upon the number of his toes, the days growing longer, fulfilling her of curiosity. Roman 2, hail to you, bad little boy, lying in bound beauty of only a broken leg, and thank you for throwing your bricks on the floor for the 3rd time, and the smack you gave me for the thermometer, delightfully male, already gallant. You smoothed the mackintosh for Alina to sit on beside you, her fragility being irresistibly for you. You, a very wise, precocious coquette, who never learnt to talk, to look at him before your semi-imbecile eyes shut. It is not given to each of us to be desired. Roman 3, tend, do not touch apparent flowers of festering secret, and the fly-by-nights, such little things. I cannot be your mother. There are already so many ignorances I am not guilty of. At the door of the house, 1,000 women's eyes riveted to the unrealizable scatta, the washstand of the cod-tella defiled marble of Carrara, on which she spreads color picture maps of destiny in the corner of an inconducive bedroom. Impassioned, doubly impassioned, sad, you see these 3 cards. But here is the double victory. and there is an elderly lady ill in whom you are concerned. This is the devil, and these two skeletons are modifications. You are going to make a journey at evening about love, looking for the little love tale that never came true at the door of the house, the effectual marriage the insipid narrative of Gina and Miovani. The daw was an absurd thing, yet it was possible they quotidianly passed through it. It was this shape, Gina and Miovani, who they were, God knows they knew. It was important to them, this being of who they were themselves, corporeally, transcendentally, consecutively, conjunctively. And they were quite complete in the evening. They looked out of their two windows, Miovani, out of his library window, Gina, from the kitchen window, from among his pots and pans. This narrative halted when I learned that the house which inspired it was the home of a mad woman. Fate de mommy. The human cylinders revolving in the enervating dusk, that wraps each closer in the mystery of singularity, among the litter of a sunless afternoon, having eaten without tasting, talked without communion, and at least two of us loved a very little, without seeking to know if our two miseries, in the lucid rush together of automatons, could form one opulent, well-being simplifications of men in the enervating dusk. Your indistinctness serves me the core. The black virginity baby, priests on green sward, you closed silk, biva, rhythm of redemption, fluttering of breviaries, fluted black silk cloaks hung square. From shoulders, truncated juvenility, uniform segregation union, in severity modulation, intimidation, pride of misapprehended preparation, ebony statues training for immobility, anemic-jawed, wise saw to one another prettily, the little ones gesticulate benignly upon one another in the sun buzz. Finger and thumb. Parallel lines, an old man eyeing a white muslin girl's school, and all this as pleasant as bewildering, would not eventually meet. I am forever bewildered. Old men are often grown greedy. What nonsense it is. Noon, and salvation seedlings are headed off for the refectory. Lion's jaws, oh far away, on the benign peninsula, that automatic fancier of lyrical birds, Daniel Gabrunzio, with melodious magnolia, perfumes his mise-en scene, where impotent neurotics wince at the dusk. The national archangel loved several countesses, in a bath full of tuberoses, soothed by the orchestra at the Hotel Majestic Palace. The sobbing from the psychopathic wads of his abandoned harem purveys amusement for high life. The comet conqueror showers upon continental libraries translated stars. Accusations of the alcove, where with a pomaded complacence he trims rococo liaisons. A tooth tattoo of an Elvira into a Maria's flesh, and every noon bare virgins riding alabaster donkeys receive Daniel Gabrunzio from the Adriatic in a golden bath towel, signed with the zodiac in pink channel defiance of old idolatries, inspires new schools. Daniel Gabrunzio's compatriots concoct new courtships to intrigue the myriad-fleshed mistress of the celebrated, the antique, envious thunder of Latin literatures, rivaling Gabrunzio's satiety, burst in a manifesto notifying women's wombs of man's immediate agamogenesis. Insurance of his spiritual integrity against the carnivorous courtesan. Manifesto of the flabbergast movement, hurled by the leader Raminti, to crash upon the audacious lightning of Gabrunzio's fashions in lechery, and wheedle its inevitable way to the accepted woman's heart, her cautious pride extorting betrayal of woman wholesale, to warrant her surrender with a sense of victory. Raminti cracked the whip of the circus master, astride a prismatic locomotive, ramping the tottering platform of the arts of which this conjuring commercial traveler imparted some novelties from Paris in his pocket. Souvenirs for his disciples to flaunt at his dynamic carnival, the erudite Bapini, experimenting in auto-hypnotic godhead on a mountain, rolls off, as Raminti's plastic velocity explodes his crust of library dust, and hurrying threatening nakedness to a vermilion ambush in flabbergastism. He kisses Raminti full on his oratory in the arena, rather fancying himself in the awesome proportions of an eclectic mother-in-law to a raw ménage. Thus academically chaperoned the flabbergasts blaze from obscurity to deny their creed in cozy corners to every feminine opportunity, and Raminti, anxious to get a move on this beating Gabrunzio business, possesses the women of two generations, except a few who jump the train at the next station, while the competitive Bapini publishes a pretty comment involving woman in the plumber's art and advertises his ugliness as an excellent aphrodisiac, shall maneuvers in the new manner pass unremarked. These amusing men discover in their male duplicate petitions to be the lurid mother of the flabbergast child from Mina Loy, alias Anam Yol, alias Mina Loy, Secret Service buffoon to the woman's cause. While flabbergastism boils over and ram, and bap, avoid each other's sounds, this duplex conquest claims a sort of success for the Gabrunzio resistors. Envoy Raminti gets short sentences for obstructing public thoroughfares. Bapini is popular in Vanity Fair, as for Mina Loy. I agree with Mrs. Cross standing hail, she is not quite a lady. Riding the sunset, Daniel Gabrunzio corrects the lewd precocity of Raminti and Bapini with his sonorous violation of Fiume, and drops his eye into the fatal lap of Italy. Ignoramus shut it up sings silence to destiny, give half a crown to a magician, half a glance to window eclipse, and count the glooms of your days bargaining lying in the lining of your pocket, while compromising between the perpendicular and horizontal, some other tramp leans against the night nursery of Tram's puffs of black night, quiver the neck of the clown of fortune, dribble out of his trouser ends in dust to dust, till cock kingdom come crow, you can hear the heart beating a coupling of the muscular. Day spring bursting on repetition, my friend the sun you have probably met before, or breakfasting on rain you hurry to interpolate the overgrowth of vegetation with a walking stick, or smear a friend with a greasy residuum from boiling your soul down you can walk to Empyrean together, under the same oil silk umbrella. I must have you count stars for me out of their numeral excess please, keep the brightest for the last, songs to Joanne's, I spawn of fantasies, silting the appraisable pig queue. Oh hell to clear the drifts of spring of our forebears' excrements, and bury the subconscious archives under unaffected flowers indeed. Our person is a covered entrance to infinity choked with the tatters of tradition goddesses and young gods, caress the sanctity of adolescence in the shaft to the sun. Mexican desert, the belching ghost wail of the locomotive, trailing her rattling wooden tail into the jazz band sunset. The mountains in a row, set pinnacles of ferocious isolation, under the alien hot, heaven vegetable cripples of drought, thrust up the potching appeal, cracking open the earth stump-fingered cacti, and hunchback palm trees, belabor the cinders of twilight. Perlun the whipper-snapper child of the sun, his pert blonde spirit scoured by the Scandinavian boreas, his head an adolescent oval ostrich, egg the victorious silly beauty of his face, awakens to his instincts, a vivacious knick-knack, tipped with gold. He puts the world to the test of intuition, smiling from ear to ear, living from other hands to mouth, holding in immaculate arms the syphilitic sailor on his avoided death bunk, or the movie vamp among the muffled shadows of the shrubberies. Pick. Poe, a lyric elixir of death, embalms the spindle spirits of your hourglass loves on moon-spun nights, sets icicled canopy for copses of posy with roses and northern lights, where frozen nightingales in Ilic's isles sing burial rites apology of genius, ostracized as we are with God. The watches of the civilized wastes reverse their signals on our track lepers of the moon, all magically diseased, we come among you innocent of our luminous saws, unknowing how perturbing lights our Brancusi's golden bird the toy, become the aesthetic archetype, as if some patient peasant god had rubbed and rubbed the alpha and omega of form into a lump of metal, a naked orientation unwinged, unplumed. The ultimate rhythm has lopped the extremities of crest and claw from the nucleus of flight, the absolute act of art conformed to continent sculpture, bare as the brow of Osiris. This breast of revelation, an incandescent curve, licked by chromatic flames in labyrinths of reflection. Hercules in a powder puff. Song, had you been born in regions of the unicorn to balance on his ivory horn, perhaps? Per Bacco. 'Tis an idiot dwarf hooked to a wire to make him jump automaton bareback. Rider the circus master jerks your invisible pendulance from an overhead pulley to your illusory leaps in upperloft signs. The hoss racing the orchestra in rushing show, throw his whimsy wire-hung dominator to dot through circus skies of auklet dust crab angel, like a swimming star clutching the tail end of the chimera, an aerial acrobat, floats on the coiling lightning of the whirligig, lifts to the elated sim. Illuminati of the colored earth, how this expressionless thing blows out damnation and concussive dark upon a mouth organ, the starry sky of Wyndham Lewis, who raised these rocks of human mist pyramidical survivors in the cyclorama of space. In the austere theater of the infinite, the ghosts of the stars perform the presence, Their celibate shadows fall upon the aged radiance of suns and moons, the nerves of heaven flinching from the antennae of the intellect, the rays that pierce the nocturnal heart. How should he know he has a heart? The Danube gives no instruction in anatomy. The primary throb of the animate, a beating mystery, pounds on his ignorance, in seeming death dealing. The frightened fatalist clenches his eyes for the involuntary sacrifice stock. To the sun-zummed dirges of a bee, he lays him out for his heartbeats to slay him. It is not accomplished. The burning track of lengthening sun shafts spur this lying in state of a virility to rise, and in his surprised protracted viability, Jehovah's tailor sets up in business for himself, however some queer marital independence on the English air, keeping him bachelor, while through stock quotations and Latin prescriptions for physic philters, the lyric aroma of the rose Exodus knows no longer father or brother, or the God of the Jews. It is his to choose finance or romance of the rose English, rose early English everlasting quadrate, rose paradox. Imperial, trimmed with some travestied flesh, tinted with bloodless duties, dewed with Lipton's teas, and grimed with crack-packed herd housing, petaling the prim gilt penetralier of a lustre-cyaned cockcrown. Rose of arrested impulses, self-pruned of the primordial attributes. A tepid hot, inhibiting with tactful terrorism. The blossom, populous to mystic incest with its ancestry, establishing by the divine right of self-assertion, the post-conceptual virginity of nature, wiping its pink paralysis across the dawn of reason, a world blush glowing from a never-setting sun, conservative rose storage of British Empire-made potpourri of dry dead men, making a sweetened smell among a shriveled, through the fetish of the island hedges, Exodus, who on his holiday, induced by the insidious pink of Albion's ideal, is looking for a rose, and the rose rises from the green of a green lane rosily stubborn and robustly round. Under a pink print sunbonnet, the village maid scowls at the heathen Albion in female form, salutes the alien Exodus staring so hard, warms his nostalgia on her belligerent innocence, the maidenhead drooping her lid and pouting of her breast, forewarns his amity, amorphous meeting in the and I will tell you what you have been reading. Exodus had been reading Proverbs, making sharp distinction between the harlot and the Hausfrau, arraying her offspring in scarlet, approving such as Ghana good advice like grain, and such as know enough to come in from the rain, the would-be secessionist from Israel's etiquette, shielding pliant Jewesses from shame, less glances, and the giving of just percentages to matrimonial intermediaries, is spiritually intrigued by the Anglo-Saxon phenomenon of this pouting pearl beyond price, flouting the male pretensions to its impervious surface. Alice, the Gentile Exodus the Jew, after a few feverish tiffs and reparations, chiefly conveyed in exclamations. A means of expression modified by lack of experience, unite their variants in marriage. Exodus Oriental, mad to melt with something softer than himself, clasps with soothing pledges his wild rose of the hedges, while she, expecting the presented knee of chivalry, repels the subumbilical man. The best is this compressed all round and about, its self-conformation, never letting out subliminal infection from hiatuses in its subrosal skeleton, its petals hung with tongues that under the supervision of the bard of education may never sing in concert. For some singing H-flat and some H-sharp, the archangels sing H. There reigns a disproportionate disharmony in the English anthem, and for further information read the rose, and what it does to the nose while smelling it. See Punch Mong. Curse till the cows come home, behold my gift, the Jewish brain. So is the mystic absolute the rose that grows from the red flowing from the flank of Christ, thorned with the computations of the old Jehovah's gender, where Jesus of Nazareth becomes one piece with Judas Iscariot, in this composite Anglo-Israelite, out of a fatted frown. This spirit pokes its eyes, its star-tipped handy-pandies dotting on the air solemn and unsurprised, and clumsily lapped by insensitive maternity. It lies waving its brand-new feet, and feeds its mongrel hot on Benja. Exodus child is propped upon a chair of chestnut cretonne, printed with maroon acanthus leaves and big buff water lilies, and told to hush while thrust into her baby pellis of ruby plush under an oleograph of The Cat's Fancy Ball. Hung on a sky-blue wall over begins to take notice, a faggot of instincts, that within the year rises the caryatid of an idea, two elongations of its will arm. Crave the curious glare virile, behind unravelable, via the staring baby stump. As she is carried away her entity, she projects into these sudden colors for self-identification, is lost in recurrent annihilation, with an old desperate. Unsurprised her emotions rise from no beginning they are wan with racial patience, so she is patient with the temperate under tones of hostile bodies that stand still, and those that move in fretful thunder. Functions of their irate impotences become defined. Nurses' draperies are resigned the mother draws near unnaturally, as if to assert. Yet she loves the gentle perhaps if he knew there was a dear little girl here who wouldn't hurt him, if he came out, for a pale, pitiful housemaid, who bowed healingly between her and the loud maternity, has told her of gentle Jesus our excuse. He dipped his hand in the sauce tureen and allowed his disciples to do the same, and that for every infantile indiscretion there is absolution in Christ's name, and she is credulous as all hungry imaginations in man swallow the parsimonious presentations put before them. Enter Colossus about this time, in an alpine, summer resort the male fruit of. He like so many of us has his own sense of fun, and when his governess offers him a bun, bring me a beefsteak de femme, and underdone. These women run in all directions when he appears this palpable evidence of his mother's unfortunately having given birth to a criminal, postures of a monster coincident with the Christian introspection of over. Among the neighbors, the drama of a human consciousness, played to the inattentive audience of the infinite, gyrates on the ego axis, intoxicates with the cosmic proposition of being it, till the inconsiderate competitional brunt of its similars informs it of several millions pulling the same stunt. This consciousness within her uncurled itself upon the rollers of objective experience, printing impressions vaguely and variedly upon over, in place of the more formulate education, coming naturally to the units of. Over fears that she can never release it. Iron is so hard that even the strongest man in the world could never bend it. Over bears horror for this child caught in a novel hell of immovable metal which is eternal. Hold up your chin. Nurse says, you begin to walk like a horrid ragamuffin. The common children have the best of her, though dressed in rags. They feed on muffin. The surprise, the things the armored towers tell, are not quite real. The things they do never happen, only their actions convince on. Overlooking partakingly at the father, anxious not to do wrong. No. Ho, snaps the father, you open that surprise under my eyes, jumping out of chairs. Liar makes a lot of noise. She is turned into a liar by father. They push her out of the front door. With their hands her head expands. There is nothing she knows how to expect from these big bodies who hustle her through demeaning duties in humiliation, and without animation, a coolness rising from the rainy gravel damp, smelling friendliness. That's a new fa thing. She comes to a curb. Stone a woman is sitting upon beyond a rampant radiance of April jonquil gala yellow fa. How evil a father must be to burst a universe by getting so far, into a sovereign over, accepts the popular estimate of humanity, press the cerebellum into phantom molds of idealism, and no matter what ocular and intellectual contact with phenomena occur, gray matter is addled forever over, accepts Christ as the sacrificial prototype of the Laban. Man that is born of woman, perhaps he chose an occupation all too feminine. Neither is this the reason that they give, thou shalt not look upon the face of God and live. Gertrude Stein, Curie of the Laboratory of Vocabulary, she crushed the tonnage of consciousness, congealed to phrases, to extract a radium of the word. Poetry by Mina Loy. Uncopyright. May you do good and not evil. May you find forgiveness for yourself and forgive others. May you share freely, never taking more than you give. Copyright pages exist to tell you that you can't do something. Unlike them, this uncopyright page exists to tell you that the writing and artwork in this ebook are believed to be in the United States public domain. That is, they are believed to be free of copyright restrictions in the United States. The United States public domain represents our collective cultural heritage, and items in it are free for anyone in the United States to do almost anything at all with, without having to get permission. Copyright laws are different all over the world, and the source text or artwork in this ebook may still be copyrighted in other countries. If you're not located in the United States, you must check your local laws before using this ebook. Standard ebooks makes no representations regarding the copyright status of the source text or artwork in this ebook in any country other than the United States. Non-authorship activities performed on items that are in the public domain, so-called sweat of the brow, work. Don't create a new copyright. That means that nobody can claim a new copyright on an item that is in the public domain for, among other things, work like digitization, mock-up, or typography. Regardless, the contributors to this ebook released their contributions under the terms in the CC 01.0 Universal Public Domain dedication, thus dedicating to the worldwide public domain all of the work they've done on this ebook, including but not limited to metadata, the title page, imprint, colophon, this uncopyright, and any changes or enhancements to, or mock-up on, the original text and artwork. This dedication doesn't change the copyright status of the source text or artwork. We make this dedication in the interest of enriching our global cultural heritage, to promote free and libre culture around the world, and to give back to the unrestricted culture that has given all of us so much. Table of Contents Landmarks